Hey, it's Jessica Mason here with another episode of Sober Story. So social media is funny. It gives us the impression that we know what's going on in each other's lives. All too often, we put forth this romanticized version of what our life is. We only post the highlight reel, and I've talked about that. I've tried to share, stuff that was hard in my life. I've talked about my chronic pain. I've talked about my alcoholism, and the other day I tried to talk about the struggles in my marriage, but it got lost in the shuffle. I had a very high conflict relationship. Quarantine was very difficult for us, and when I went off of the pain meds, it became clear that the level of unhealthy and toxic conflict in our relationship was too much for either of us. And it was no longer an acceptable situation. I talked about Kwan wanting, emotional sobriety, coming to terms with things that we hadn't dealt with. Part of me accepting this next phase of my sober journey was to acknowledge that I was in a situation that wasn't working. We both had agreed at different times to try to leave the relationship, but between the pandemic and my pain and, a bunch of other factors, we weren't able to walk away. Once the quarantine was over, Kwan and I ended our marriage. I'm sorry that I was mincing words before. I did not want to talk about this publicly. I kind of just wanted to subtly, change my name a couple months ago and my relationship status and let people figure it out. But that is just creating more uncomfortable situations than it is solving. So I have not been the authentic self that I have wanted to be, that I have tried to be, because I didn't want to air dirty laundry. Like, it's one thing to talk about my issues and the stuff that I'm going through, but to talk about how much my partner and I are struggling in our relationship didn't feel appropriate, especially since we were working on it. We wanted it to work, and so I didn't want to talk about what was happening. But we weren't happy too much of the time. When we were happy, I wanted to share that. I wasn't lying about, the good times. We had some good times, but there weren't enough to make up for the stuff that wasn't working. And I know so many of you were rooting for us. I was rooting for us. And I just hope that anybody who cares enough to watch these videos cares enough to want me to be happy. I care enough to want Kwan to be happy, and neither one of us was happy enough. And we had to do what's best for us. And I'm sorry that the way that I talked about our relationship led people to believe that that was it, that I was posting the highlight reel. And I think I inadvertently deceived my friends, and I want to apologize for that. I'm trying to be transparent. I'm trying to talk about things in a way that help other people. But like I said before, that doesn't entitle anybody to details of my life that I'm not ready to share. And I wasn't ready to share because until I got off the pain meds, I thought it was going to work. And once I was off them, it was clear it wasn't. So this is the announcement I never wanted to have to make. Kwan and I have parted ways. He has moved back to New Orleans, and we are living separate lives now. I love him. He loves me. I wish him the best. I think in his heart he does for me too. But it didn't work.